welcome back to another episode of Classic Gaming Quarterly, where today, for no reason in particular except that I want to get rid of some of them, I'm taking a look at a handful of third-party Sega Genesis controllers. One of which was a colossal disappointment, but another a nice surprise. So we'll just get right to the disappointment first. This is the Competition Pro Pad from Happ, and you may recognize that name as the maker of American arcade control parts. So when I found out that they made a joypad for the Genesis, I was pretty excited, thinking it would be some kind of professional quality pad, or I don't know what that means, but whatever. But when I got it, I realized that it's really just, cheap plastic. It's just your standard third-party pad. The D-pad doesn't feel very good. It does have these little cutouts here for your fingers, but I don't ever lose grip on my pad, so it's not really a big deal. It's got turbo for A, B, and C, slow for the start button, and it does have these little LED lights next to each of the buttons, so that when you push one of these buttons, it lights up. I don't know what good that is, but if that sort of thing excites you, then good on you. But other than that, this pad was very disappointing, only because I was looking for one for so long, and then when I got it, I realized that it basically sucked. So don't get this. So the other 3-button controller that we're doing today is the Competition Pro, also called Competition Pro Pad, from Honeybee, which you may recognize that name if you're familiar with their import converters. And they also made third-party controllers for the NES back in the day. And this is the most like a Genesis pad of any of the pads that I'm going to look at today. It has the same form factor. The D-pad feels the same. The buttons look the same, except they have these little cutouts underneath. So this feels just like playing a Genesis controller. And the only real difference is that it has turbo buttons above the regular buttons, which is nice. And on the back it has this switch that says off and slow, and that's basically turbo for the start button, which, I don't know if anybody ever used that. I always see that on pads, and I think it's kind of stupid. But if you're looking for a basic third-party 3-button pad, because maybe you want turbo or something, this is definitely a good choice. So now for the first of the 6-button pads. This is the high frequency pad. I don't know who makes it because there's no marking on the back other than this little gold sticker. I bought this because I thought it looked neat because it had a clear case. It feels pretty good. The D-pad feels better than the 3-button official Genesis controller, but not as good as their 6-button controller. It's also got adjustable turbo here on the top, so you have 2 stages of turbo-ness if you want it. The buttons feel pretty good. A, B, and C are concave, and X, Y, Z are convex. It's got these little cutouts here for your fingers. It feels pretty good. It's not great, but it's a pretty good 6-button controller. And considering that the price of the official 6-button controllers keeps going up, this might be something to look out for. So I recommend it. Not super highly, but it's a pretty good pad. So lastly, we have this guy. This is actually a Japanese controller that I bought on eBay. This is made by the Moomin Corporation. And the reason I bought it is it's actually called a Tatsujin Pad. And when I saw that, I thought, well, I like that game Tatsujin, and I don't know the story. Maybe the game came with a controller or something, not thinking that that game does not use a 6-button layout. So obviously they have nothing to do with each other. I just got excited and bought it because it was $1, and I have to say that it was totally worth it. Not only does it look cool, but it feels great. I really like the way the D-pad feels. It does have turbo here. The 6 buttons, they feel good, and I like how the A, B, and C are bigger than X, Y, Z, because that's just like the official 6-button controller. The buttons feel good when you push them. It's got these little nodules on the back that I guess you're supposed to grab with your fingers. I don't really know. That doesn't really do anything for me, but other than that, I think this controller feels great. And if I had to use a third-party controller or if I had to use a 6-button controller that was third-party, it would be this one. It's still not as good as the official Sega 6-button controller, which has the best D-pad. That and the Model 2 Saturn have the best D-pads, I think, that were ever made. But this one also feels pretty good, and it looks kind of cool, and has a story behind it, because you can say, oh, it's a Tatsujin controller. I found out later that the reason it's called that is Tatsujin just means expert in Japanese. So that's why it's called that. Nothing to do with the game. So there you go. There's 4 controllers that we're looking at, and some of them are headed to the thrift store, and some of them I'm keeping. But Not only can you collect games, you can also collect peripherals like this, and sometimes you find cool stuff.